MGBGT back with you. Now today we were supposed to race again, but it was raining all morning long and pretty heavy, so I'm glad I actually didn't sign up to race today. The biggest reason I didn't actually sign up to race today is because I still need to work on my suspension a bit more. So what I'm going to do today is change out the front springs, and I realized that after playing with the brakes a little bit and just not being happy with them, the initial bite, I got to thinking about it and realized that, you know, those pads have been on this car for about 20 years, so it's probably time to change them. Maybe I'll have a lot better initial bite, but changing the pads also gonna mean changing the rotors, because I have drilled and slotted rotors on it, and so you can't really turn these because they'll just break the bits on the machines. And there's just enough wear in these that I wouldn't want to put new pads on them. So one thing I'm going to try to do is, now that I have a 1-inch bar on here, with this much bar, I need to go softer springs, because now the front suspension is binding a bit. Now the original springs are listed as being 480 pounds per inch, and that's these here. And then they show roadster springs at only being 400 pounds per inch, but that's 72 on. Now this is early roadster springs, pre-72, and I can't find any information on exactly how many pounds per square inch that one is, or pounds per inch that one is yet. But just by measuring them, I would say they're probably slightly less than 400, probably 380 or something, because while these measured about 540 thickness on the diameter, these were about 515, 17, and these were a little under about 508. So now I just need to figure out which one of these two I'm going to try, and it might be a bit of trial and error of putting the one in, checking ride height and going and playing with it, and then maybe trying the other one. Well, I got the roadster springs in, got the new rotors, and some new EBC green stuff pads. You know, the more I think about it, those pads may have only been 15 years old, but still, performance pads, more than 10 years old. Yeah, they should be replaced. Just due to time, they're not gonna bite quite as good. So now I gotta put the car back down on the ground, see if the ride height changed any, and then put it back on the scales and see where my weight's at. So that'll be the next step. So after setting the car down on the ground and bouncing it, checking ride height, and then putting it on the scales, I wasn't seeing the numbers I was looking for, either with ride height or on the scales, either way. So I am going to now try the early roadster springs rather than the later ones over here, because these are longer springs, which actually made the car sit a little too high. These are a little shorter, and I'm going to go ahead and put this back in because I left one of these out and it showed on the numbers. And with the shorter spring, I can put this in. So I go do that now and try again. All right, well, now I've switched to the early roadster springs, and the ride height is doing more of what I want it to do, but the numbers on the scales just don't seem to be jiving with what I would think I'd be seeing with the change in the ride height. But I'm going to go drive it real quick and see how it settles. Because one thing I've always noticed with this car is I've never been able to get it to settle quite on its springs to the proper ride height by just bouncing the corners. I've always got to go drive it before it'll sit at the final ride height. Well, I feel like a real idiot here. I forgot to take my spare tire out before weighing it. That'll throw all my weights off a little bit because I always weigh it without it. So after driving it, it did settle a bit more on its springs, and it settled a lot more in the left front than I thought it was going to. But I also heard a snapping noise about, on the way back home. So either the spring wasn't fully seated or it broke. And it had to have broken up near the seating coil up in the pocket because I can't see anything looking underneath of it. So I'll have to just get in there and investigate that yet to see what's going on, because it's sitting a little lower on this corner than I'd like it to. I'd like it to be just a little higher. Alright, so I got it back apart again. And I got the early roadster springs back out of it. Now I can't find anything wrong with the left front spring, so it just must not have been sitting quite in the pocket right, and that was the big snapping noise I heard. But obviously the car's going to sit too low with those, so we're back to the later roadster springs here. So now I got the later roadster springs installed, and just looking like now, it just looks such a big difference in ride height. But this time I'm going to go drive it first to make sure it settles fully before I make the determination on ride height. Well, I'm not quite happy with where the ride height is coming out at. It's a full inch higher than what the other spring is on this side, but it's just not settling where I want it to. Now, upon closer inspection, looking at these two springs, the one on the right is the one I had in the left front, and the one on the left is the one I had in the right front. They were the same size before I installed them, and after one short test drive, look how much shorter the one on the right is. So there definitely is a problem with that spring. Alright, so we're trying this yet again. I dug into my stash and I found this set of springs here, which is from an early roadster. Now the free length on them is taller than the new ones, but shorter than the later roadster ones. So we're going to try these this time and see what we get. And when you're setting up a car to go racing and trying to get specific things out of it, this is the type of stuff you go through. Lots of trial and error, and you could spend hours doing this stuff. Well, I am making some headway here. After putting those other springs in, the ride height is a little bit better. And it is affecting the weights in the way I want them to, as in it's shifting a little bit of weight back to the front of the car. I'm back to, with me in the car, 50.2 in the front, 48.8 in the rear. So it's getting what I want to out of it, except I don't like my cross wedge. I got cross wedge in the car again, so I'll probably have to swap the left and right springs in the front to see what happens. It looks like the right front is carrying more load than the left front. So that'll just be another trial and error thing, and I'll do that later. But for now, it's all for this video. It's MG Rob. Later.